Good morning, students. Welcome to English class. Today we will discuss the poem The Village Blacksmith by W.H. Longfellow. Who is a blacksmith? Are you familiar with this word blacksmith? Okay, blacksmith is a person who is working with mainly iron to make iron tools. It's in Malayalam. Okay, so here this poem, The Village Blacksmith, is about a blacksmith, about a person who is working very sincerely. In the last poem also we discussed that a person should do his work with dedication and honesty. So in the case of this blacksmith also we see that he was doing all his work with dedication and honesty. Okay, so in the first stanza we get the idea that this blacksmith was a very strong person having strong muscles, and whatever work he was doing honestly. And we have learned that, see, we should understand the fact that all the works have their own dignity. We use the term dignity of labor. You should do whatever work you are doing with honesty and dedication. So in the case of this blacksmith also, he was doing all the work very sincerely. So the details are given there in the poem. So where was the person working? It is mentioned under a spreading chestnut tree the village smithy stands. Under a spreading chestnut tree. So his smithy was under a tree, and this chestnut tree, it is to show that, see, it was under a tree having a good shade. Smithy, S-M-I-T-H-Y. What is smithy? Any idea? Where does a blacksmith work? He is working in his smithy. That is, in Malayalam we use the term Ala. Okay, so the place where the blacksmith works. So where is his smithy? It was in a village under a chestnut tree. Then some details about the blacksmith. The smith, a mighty man is he. What is mighty? Very strong. So this person was a very strong person with large and sinewy hands. Large and sinewy hands. The sinewy used to show that he is having very strong hands. Okay, sinewy hands. And the muscles of his brawny arm are strong as iron bands. And the muscles of his brawny hands. What may be the meaning of brawny? Any idea? It's the meaning of brawny. That also shows that he is having very strong arms, strong hands, strong muscles. Are strong as iron bands. See, in order to give the idea that his hands, his arms were very strong, the poet compares it to iron bands. So we know that an iron band, an iron rod is very strong. Likewise, the hand of this, the arms of this blacksmith. What are the details given? Very strong, very powerful. So two details mainly we get in this stanza. What's the first one? This blacksmith had his smithy in a village under a chestnut tree. And what's the second detail? He was a very strong and powerful person having strong muscles and all. His hair is crisp and black and long. His face is like the tan. His hair is crisp. That also shows that very strong hair, black and long. His face is like the tan. His face is like the tan. What's the meaning of that? That is to show that as he was working in a very hot situation, that color. Okay, so his face is like the tan. So here we know that he was working in his smithy, and in the case of a blacksmith, he will always be working near fire. So actually, while we use the term tan, that is to show that a person's skin has become dark as he is working under hot sun and വെയിലേറ്റ് എന്താ പറയുക കൈവാളിച്ച എന്നൊക്കെ പറയാറുണ്ട്. അപ്പോൾ in the case of this blacksmith, we know that in the case of a blacksmith is always working near the fire. His brow is wet with honest sweat. His brow is wet with honest sweat. What does it show? Sweating. You know what is sweating. So his brow is wet with honest sweat means he is working very hard and sweating, and he is working very sincerely. That's why the term honest is used here. He earns whatever he can. How much he earns? Whatever he can. And can you say why is it mentioned whatever he can? Okay, because we know that in the case of a blacksmith, even though he is working very hard from morning till evening or till night, the amount he gets may be less. But in the case of this blacksmith, he was happy with what he had. He had no complaints. He was ready to work day and night. He was ready to do hard work, but he was doing it honestly, even though he was not getting a good profit out of it, or even though he could earn only a little. Understood? So he was satisfied with what he had, and looks the whole world in the face, for he owes not any man. What's the meaning of that? Look the whole world in the face. He can look in the face of people. That means he was leading a good and satisfied life. He hadn't borrowed any money from anyone. We know that if we have to pay a certain amount to a person, we will have a hesitation to look in the face. But in the case of this blacksmith, he owes not any man. He owes not any man means he hadn't borrowed any money and there was nothing to be given. അപ്പോൾ ആരുടെയിൽ നിന്നും പൈസയൊന്നും കടം വാങ്ങിച്ചിട്ടില്ല, ഉള്ളത് കൊണ്ട് സന്തോഷമായിട്ട് ജീവിക്കുന്നു. അതുകൊണ്ട് ആൾക്കാരുടെ മുഖത്ത് നോക്കാൻ സാധിക്കുന്നു എന്നാണ് പറയുക. Okay, that shows that he was leading a contented and satisfied life, even though he had only a small amount he could collect. അല്ലേ, നമ്മൾ പറയല്ലേ ഉള്ളത് കൊണ്ട് ഓണം പോലെ ജീവിക്കുക. Okay, he had no complaints. He was satisfied with what he had. Week in, week out, from morn till night, you can hear his bellows blow. Week in, week out. What's the meaning of that? Throughout the week. Throughout the week. From morn till night. That shows that he was working continuously from morning till night. You can hear his bellows blow. You can hear his bellow blow. What's the meaning of that? What is bellows? So we know that in order to burn the fire, he is using a bellow. In Malayalam, we use the term ula. If you have gone to a blacksmith, you might have seen. So he uses a bellow to blow the air and to burn. So you can hear his bellow blow. You can hear him swing his heavy sledge. You can listen to his heavy sledge. So we know that a rod is attached to the bellow, and while he pulls the sledge, the air will go outside and will burn the fire. Okay, so you can hear him swing his heavy sledge with measured beat and slow, like a sexton ringing the village bell when the evening sun is low. Like a sexton. Who is a sexton? Sexton is a person who assists or who helps the priest in a church for the services. And normally it is a sexton who is ringing the bell and doing other services for the church. So here, while the blacksmith is blowing the sledge or swinging his sledge, it is compared to a sexton ringing the village bell when the evening sun is low. So we know that in the case of a church, while before night or while it is evening, after the day, the sexton will ring the bell. We know that it is to remind the people that it is time for prayer and all these things. Okay, and even this time you can listen to the sound of the blacksmith walking in his smithy, and children coming home from school looking at the open door. Why do they look? Okay, they are happy or they are interested to see the blacksmith walking there. Children coming from school looking at the open door. They love to see the flaming forge. They love to see the flaming forge. And what do you see there? And hear the bellows roar and catch the burning sparks that fly like chaff from a threshing floor. The burning sparks that fly. What's the meaning of burning sparks that fly? We know that while the air blows to the coal or to the fire, the sparks will be there, and it is compared to chaff from a threshing floor. What is chaff? What is chaff? In Malayalam we use the term പതിര്. എന്താണ് പതിര് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ? അല്ലേ, നമുക്ക് നെല്ലൊക്കെ കൊയ്യുമ്പോൾ അറിയാം, അതിൻ്റെ അകത്ത് അരിമണി ഇല്ലാത്ത അതിൻ്റെ എന്താണ് തോട് മാത്രം ഉള്ളതാണ് നമ്മൾ പതിരെന്ന് പറയുക. So we know that it is not heavy, and if there is a wind it will fly. Likewise, in the case of the blacksmith, or while the children look inside, what do they see? They see the village blacksmith walking there. He is swinging his sledge and the air is blowing, and while the air blows there will be sparks. അല്ലേ, നിങ്ങൾ ശ്രദ്ധിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ടാവും, ഉല ഇങ്ങനെ ആട്ടിക്കഴിയുമ്പോൾ അതിൻ്റെ അകത്തു നിന്നുള്ള കാറ്റ് ഊതിയിട്ട് തീപ്പൊരി ഇങ്ങനെ ചിതറുന്നത് കണ്ടിട്ടുണ്ട്. So children are very happy, or they are very interested to see the blacksmith walking in his smithy. Okay, so we'll do one thing. We will complete the next stanzas next day. Otherwise, it will be too much for you, I think. And now, what you have to do is read the stanzas we completed many times. Okay, and in the first stanza, we saw that the details of the smithy, the physical condition of the blacksmith, etc., are mentioned there. Second stanza also some details about his hair, his face, and all these things are mentioned, and the idea that he was working very hard and he was leading a decent and satisfied life. And in the third stanza we saw that he was working throughout the week in and week out, that also from morn till night. That means he was working continuously but happily. Even though he could earn only a little, he was satisfied with what he had. ഉള്ളത് കൊണ്ട് സന്തോഷമായിട്ട് ജീവിക്കുന്ന ഒരു ബ്ലാക്ക്സ്മിത്തിനെ പറ്റി പറയുന്നു. And the last stanza we discussed, we saw that children while they came back or on their way home, they looked. What did they look? The way the blacksmith was working, and they were happy to see the fire burning there, and it is mentioned here like chaff from a threshing floor. Okay, so a number of words are there, and the rest of the things we will discuss next day, but make sure that you read it many times. Okay, we'll stop for today. Thank you.